and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a nitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you are all doing very well. Heads up for this episode, I do apologize if you notice that I'm struggling a little bit with my voice and my breathing. I have a cold. It's nothing too bad. I just had a couple of days where my brain wasn't functioning properly. I am now better. It's going away, I think, but it's still very noticeable in how I speak and in general sickness wave coming out of me. But so I hope you will forgive me for that. It is also very early in the morning and it is currently heavily raining, so it's storm time at the moment, so it is very dark, and that's why I have some artificial light going on, which is very bright and very white, which is a good thing, except it does make me look even sicker. But fear not, I am okay. And I think I have a little episode for you this week, but I did wanted to record for a couple of things that I want to share with you. I have some progress, some drama concerning one of my works in progress, and I also want to share more yarn with you, because the last bits of my insomnia shopping that I talked about last week has arrived. So that is the program for this week. I will put timestamps to everything in the description down below, so if you want to skip anything, feel free to jump ahead. There are also links to everything that I talk about, as well as my social media and patterns for sale on Ravelry. So, yay! I will start with what I am wearing, which is also a finished object that I didn't completely show you because it was a test knit. So this is the Fier cardigan by Fibertails, and I am going to show you how it is. So I'm sorry, I finished it a little while ago, so it was folded in my drawers, so that's why there are little bits that are a little bit wrinkly, like here. But yeah, you can see the details, the finished details of the cardigans finally. So it is a boxy cropped v-neck cardigan that is knit in fingering weight yarn, or I assume you could use a sport, because the gauge is 23 stitches per 10 centimeters. I used Dererum Natura Albertine, which is their worsted span yarn, 90% merino, organic French merino, and 10% mulberry silk, which is a really round, plump yarn with a great stitch definition and a nice drape. And yes, so Lerga just released the pattern on Ravelry last night. I am recording on Thursday, even though this will go up on Friday. But yeah, the pattern is now available on Ravelry, so you can go check it out and check the other testers' versions as well. I did write quite a lot of things in my project page. I knitted size M, so I have a really nice boxy fit. My bust measurement is 88 centimeter, but everything is written in details in my project page if you want to kind of judge how you can get the same fit that I did. So yeah, I'm going to show you my buttons. It is the one thing that you will find is a bit different on my version, is that when I did the button band, I had to stretch it quite a bit so it would lay flat, and that is because of how slick my yarn is, because I assume worsted span and silk, and so I had to stretch it quite a bit, which meant that the last buttonhole here ended up on the V and not on the body portion. So I don't mind. I might put the 5th button here just for decoration and just so that I don't have this hole here for no reason. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to close it because obviously the V-neck shaping is doing this, but I don't mind. Yeah, those are coconut shell buttons, by the way, because I didn't mention it earlier. And yeah, so the main feature of the cardigan is obviously this caliper cable that goes around the drop shoulders sleeves, and I really like it. It is super comfortable, super wearable because of the lovely grey color. Yeah, I really like it. What do you want to say about it? Yes, it is knit flat, so in pieces, and I think if you want to change a little bit from the modern constant top down in the round thing, I think this could be a good choice because it really makes sense, and it emphasizes on the sewing bit so that it's a little bit, it's more fun. What I mean by that is that the cables, so he knitted the fronts and the back separately, and so you only had half of those cables, basically what you see here in the sleeve. And so when you come to sewing the thing, it's a little bit magic because you finally see the cable going in together and making the proper motif. So it makes sense and it illuminates the sewing bit, if that makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Even the button band is sewed, which is maybe the hardest bit. It's not really hard. What I did, and I would recommend if you're unsure like I was, is that I knit the button band for a bit and I started sewing it while it wasn't finished yet. So the button band was still on the needles and I started already sewing it so that I could knit it just at the perfect length, instead of sewing it, kind of stretching it and seeing if it was long enough. Yeah, I did it as I was knitting it so that it would be easier for me to get the right length. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. Obviously the project is very portable because of it, and it does go really quickly. So yeah, I think if you are a bit wary of flat garments, do not be, because this is really engaging, and it makes it fun, and it can encourage you, I think, to go into these more classic sewing type constructions. And if you were a sewist yourself, I think you would really enjoy it. So yeah, it is easy to lengthen the body as well, or shorten it if you want. I did lengthen it a little bit on me, not too much, could have gone a little bit more, but yeah, it does hit right on my hips. So that's the fit. I wanted to be able to wear it with high-waisted jeans like I am at the moment, or with dresses like I did on the project photos. If you look at Lurge's pictures, she is very pregnant in them, so it does maybe go up a little bit and does not fit quite as it would on a usual body, and so you can really check the testers versions for this, which is really convenient. And yeah, I really like this cardigan. Thank you so much, Lurge, for having me test knit it for you. Yeah, I am happy now that I can wear it without fearing that I show it by mistake, because yeah, now it is done and released. So the pattern is very clearly written. It has the concise style of a more Scandinavian type of pattern writing, but it is not letting anything unsure. So I already said it, I really like how Fairy Tales writes her patterns. So yeah, that is it for what I'm wearing. I will move on to works in progress, and I have a couple of things to share with you. Well, I'm gonna start with with the drama right away so that it's done. So, my Woolen Honey Sweater by Andrea Murray. So, I think I kept the picture that I posted on my Instagram stories to show you. I will insert it right now so you can see what I'm going to talk about. I was using leftovers, so I am knitting it out of Holst Supersoft in the Nougat colorway, and I had leftovers from my Windfell sweater, and so I bought a little bit more to complete it. Why? Obviously things were not of the same dye lots, and you should still be careful about this, even if it's a commercial dyed yarn like Holst Garn is. Because the difference was so obvious. So I was 3/4 done with the yoke when I noticed, and it was late at night, so it's not super late, but it was already, the sun was already setting down, and I still saw it. So it was a really striking difference between the cooler, grayer tone of the leftovers I had and the new dye lots that I bought that are much lighter, much creamer, and it was too obvious to let it. I considered a few things, because like I said, I was 3/4 done with the yoke. I really didn't want to start over at the start, and I considered leaving it and sort of have it be a fade, but the problem is, like, the transition was here, and so it was too high. I would have needed to find like 2 or 3 more lighter shades so that it would look like a fade. And I think that because if I would have had one color up until under my breast and then the second color down, then yes, that would have looked intentional. But the way it was, if I have just one color here and then the rest a different color, it just doesn't look right. And also I found that the fade would have kind of taken away from the shaping of the honeycomb motif, and I was only seeing that. I just couldn't notice anything else. So the second thing I thought was over dye it. I thought, okay, I can just dye it, try and make them burgundy, or just over dye everything grey. But I didn't want to knit an entire sweater and then risk it not working, because if the base color is not the same, obviously, unless I dye a very saturated color, and even in that case, you're probably still going to see a difference between the two dye lots of the base color. So I ripped it and I started. And I really hope I have enough yarn, because now it means that I only have 4 balls of one same dye lot, which is about 300 meters less than what Andrea Murray recommends for the size I am knitting. I am knitting size small, but I have found that Andrea Murray, she overestimates the usage. Well, I don't know if she overestimates, it's just the way I personally knit and make my sweaters, I always use way less yarn than what she writes. So I have over 1,000 meters for something that, yes, is going to be oversized, but it's going to be cropped, and I'm probably going to make 3/4 length sleeves anyway. I hope it's okay. Yeah. If it's not okay, though, I could just undo the ribbing and knit the ribbing, the cuffs and the hem in the other color, and maybe that would look okay. or I would hunt for the dye lot that I have, which I guess is possible. But dye lot happens. Yeah, should always be careful. But anyway, I started over because yeah, I did it. I cast on. I ripped it and I cast on instantly because I knew if I just let it drag, I wouldn't be very inclined to start over. So I did, and now I'm almost done with the first section of the yoke again. And yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good, and it's looking one color, which is important. The good thing is, since I had to rip it off, I took off the needle and I was able to put it on. And yeah, I was almost done with the yoke. I still had a couple of increases, and it looked like it was fitting really nicely. So at least I'm reassured that I'm knitting the right size for me. And yeah, it's a good thing that this is so fun to knit, because yeah, I was able to go through that pretty quickly, and now yeah, I don't feel that I have lost 2 weeks because indeed that's what happened, but it's fine. It's really a lot of you asked me if it was accessible. It is. It looks complicated, but the way you do this is really silly. It's elongated stitches, which means you wrap the yarn around your needle several times, depends, and then on certain rows you just move them and catch them up at a different place to like close the little honeycomb shapes. And it's really easy. You just have to the rhythm is really logic. You just have to check what you're supposed to do on the row that you are on, and it's nothing complicated. The one thing that I started noticing, and I remember reading this from one of the projects on Ravelry, and it's since this is in garter stitch, you have some sort of a seam happening. Yeah, you can really see it happening here. So you can see, because obviously it's garter stitch in a round, so you're knitting one row and purling one row, and so at the point where you switch, obviously you have a little jog, which I don't know if it's avoidable. Like jogs in color work stockinette, like color stripes in stockinette. I know it's avoidable. In garter stitch in the round, I wonder, because I feel like if you move one bump, you're still going to see it, and you have to do it every row. If you have like links or something to show me how to avoid this jog, I'm curious. I don't mind it. It's going to look like a seam. It's not so visible. It's fine. I'm just, yeah. You couldn't obviously put it under the arm, because if not, it would mean that during the yoke it was here, which would be rather visible in the middle of the honeycomb. So I understand why it's at the back, and it's okay. I think that one's going to be blocked. It might be even less noticeable. But yeah, wool and honey, take 2, hopefully. Last one. Hopefully I have enough yarn. I think so, because yeah, my leftovers was only 30 grams. I hope I'm gonna be okay. Cross your fingers for me on that one. But yes, this is one work in progress that had some things happening to it, and I have a couple other works in progress that you already know of. The first one is my Hylde wrap, which is a design I'm currently knitting, and it's currently being test knitted. I just started the test knit for it, and yeah, it is this cabled wrap beauty that looks really awful in artificial light, but yes. So this is going along nicely. I am almost done with the first repeat, so the second part. And yeah, so basically then I'll have to repeat this motif, and then I will be on the last little bit. I'm looking forward to finishing it, just so then I have some time to wait for the perfect day to take pictures. Yeah, I feel it's going to be a bit of a nightmare to take pictures of, because I really want them to be outdoors picture because of the color, which is dyed by Maison Carlin. So it's one of their new bases that they're going to release next month, I believe. And they sent me 3 beautiful skeins of their non-superwash Falkland fingering weight merino, so that I could design this wrap for them. And it's dyed in this lovely grey, which in the artificial light is not so bad, but it's not quite as subtle as it is in real life. It's dyed on a grey base, and so it really benefits from being outdoors. And yeah, like I said, I just started the test knit for it. Thank you so much to everyone who agreed to participate in the test knit. I know it's not ideal when the designer hasn't finished their sample, because you can't really see what you're doing, what you're going to get. But yeah, it's not too bad with this, because it's a repetitive design. But yeah, thank you so much for trusting me with that. And yeah, we're going along. It's not a complicated knit, it's just that there's one thing about how the charts are made that I basically need to put huge warnings just so that you read my notes, because if you don't read what I wrote on the pattern, you're going to get it wrong. So yeah, I was also able to film little tutorials for these bits here. There's nothing really complicated. One of my testers told me it's their first cable project. I hope it's going to go well. I think it is, because they're fairly simple cables. It's just that there's a lot of different ones, but they all make sense. So it is really enjoyable to knit. Like I said, I was surprised at how meditative it was. So I'm really enjoying it, and it's moving on. It's moving on. Yeah, I expect to be releasing it in November. Probably my testers won't be finished by then, but that's okay. That's the plan. I just need them to do one repeat actually, just so that I know that the pattern is correct and working. Yeah, my other design work in progress is the Poppa shawl, which I showed you, I believe, last week, and I've made some consistent progress on it. So it is another fingering weight shawl, but very different, because it features mosaic and brioche. So this is where I am at the moment. Ignore the fact that it is all wrinkly and looking weird. But yeah, it's going to be an asymmetrical triangle shawl, and yeah, loads of garter stitch and this mosaic motif. So you can now see the second one, which I was poorly trying to describe last time. I really like it. I changed my idea about a dozen times, but I really like this. And some brioche happening. There's gonna be more brioche now. And yeah, it's really soothing to knit on, and I also really like it. I alternate between the two basically during my work days, which is my design knitting only moment. Yeah, I'm going to put in more brioche now, and then I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I said, I'm just letting this design be and do its thing, and modifying from time to time. the thing is, I want to make tassels for this, and last time I said that I wanted to make them out of my contrast colors. I don't think I'm going to have enough because I do want to, my idea originally is to make a huge chunk of grey and then repeat this 2 times around the edge of the shawl, and I don't know if I have enough yarn of my contrast colors to make the tassels afterwards. These were minis, so I used 150 gram and 220 gram minis, and I don't think I have enough. And the thing is, I don't want to be on the edge myself and then risk having you run out and not be able to make the tassels. So I might make the tassels in the grey. We'll see. I think at some point I'm going to knit until I did everything that I want to do. I'm going to see what I can do, and then I will make the tassel, and then I will finish the shawl. I really want to make tassels, so I will be a bit sad if I can't. But yeah, the idea is to make a shawl out of 150 gram and 220 gram minis. So this yarn is Yarn by Simone, which is a French indie dyer that is excellent at making really even colors, really deep, nice colors. So this is silver grey, this is toffee, and this is only black. And yeah, so you can get her 1.5 skein that has 600 meters, or you can get 3 50-gram skeins from another dyer or another yarn company, and then just grab 2 minis or leftovers. And yeah, that is what I want this to be, and I want it to work like that. So yeah, not much to say about this. Like I said, it's a pretty simple, relaxing knit, like I believe a garter stitch shawl has the advantage of being, and I really like that mosaic motif. And lastly, I have a new cast on. So I started with the Christmas knitting. So this is going to be a pair of socks for my mom, and yeah, it's out of yarn I dyed myself when I was experimenting with self-striping, which was really fun to dye, and I dyed this thing. So it's stripes of orange, mint, brown and blue. And I really like how it's knitting up, it's quite nice. Obviously, this was my first experiments with dyeing self-striping, so you can see that the transitions in the colors are rather heavy. Like you have about 6-7 stitches every time where the color gets a bit muddy. It's not too bad. Around the blue is where it's most noticeable. You can see here and here it gets a bit greenish. It's okay, it's not like my mom will see it, but yeah, it's one of the things that when you dye self-striping you have to get better at and improve, is having clean cuts of the color. And I think this was like my second self-striping ball that I dyed, and so yeah, not too bad really for such an early try. But yeah, I am just making a tube. I used my usual German twisted cast on. I noticed with my test knitting that a lot of you don't know about the German twisted cast on, and it's funny because it's such a basic cast on for me. It's very similar to the long tail cast on, except it has a little twist and it makes it stretchier. You can see, and it's really neat, as you can see. And I use it for everything. I use it for necklines, for everything. When I specifically want to make a long tail cast on for structure, I need a few seconds to get the right movement, because I just instinctively do the German twisted cast on. And so if you don't know about it, I highly recommend that you check it out. It's a simple cast on. It's it's not as elastic as a tubular cast on, obviously, but it's much less trouble, to be honest, and it is fairly good. So German twisted cast on. I did a garter rib because I was inspired. And yeah, I kind of want to play with ribs on my socks, and I have a few design ideas that will involve different ribbons. So yeah, this is a garter rib, and I just thought it looked nice and simple. And I'm just making a tube, and then I'm going to put on Afterthoughts heel at the end. I really like, even though heel flap and gusset are the best fitting heels for me, Afterthought heels I really like for stripy socks, because then you're going to have the stripes repeating themselves in a concentric manner. And so yeah, these are from my mom, so I cast on like me. My mom has slightly smaller feet than I do, but she just wears the socks at home, so I do the same size as I do, and it works fine for her, and she will have those for Christmas. I have 4 pairs of socks to do for Christmas, 1 colorwork hat, some washcloths that I want to make for a few people, and I also have to make my mom a weekender sweater, because her birthday is in the summer and she requested a sweater. We picked the pattern, which is the weekender. We picked the yarn, which is Mungo by Retrosaria, and I have to do it. I think once I finish my wool and honey, I will start the weekender, and to hell with my alpaca poncho, which is never going to be finished, but it's going to be a running gag here. You don't say running gag. Do you say running gag in English? Do you understand what I mean if I say running gag? No. Is it just a French expression? It's like a repetitive joke. Do you say running gag? I don't know, because gag in English is something else, which I fear is not what I'm trying to say. But let's move on and ignore this. I want to finish this episode with some more yarn show, and it's the last of my insomnia shopping, and it is this beauty, which weirdly enough looks decent in this light. I wanted to try this yarn for a while. This is yarn from By Night Dyes, which is indie dyer from Belgium. Her name is Natalie. If you're French, you probably know about her because she has a lovely podcast in French. So she is a natural dyer, so she has a variety of bases, and she has lots of fun experimenting with natural dyes. She has a really creative and interesting process in her work, and yeah, she's doing lots of really nice colors, and I really like her madder colors, her logwood. She's been also experimenting with some nuts, whose English name I'm losing. But yeah, and recently she dyed with henna, and this is what it is, and it's absolutely beautiful. It appeared browner on the screen when I ordered it, but you know, it's, if anything, naturally dyed yarn is even harder to photograph and to render on the screen than acid dyed yarn. And so when it came, it is a bit redder and pinker than what I thought, which is actually better because it really looks like madder. It is browner than madder, which I guess is the henna result, and it's really nice. And so yeah, what she does is that she will dye bath with some plants or bugs. You know, you can use I don't know the English name for it, the little red bug, to make red dye, and then she will mix end of bath with other ones. It's really interesting, and you always get quite unique colorways with her. And even though there are things which is quite consistent, and I'm really impressed whenever she shows yarns that she dyed with plants that she uses a lot of times, because they're really consistent. So I've been wanting to try some of her yarn for a long time, and yeah, I just decided to go for it and get some of this henna color because it's really lovely. I took her Full Moon base, which is 100% Blue Face Leicester, which I love Blue Face Leicester. It is absolutely beautiful. It is especially soft for Blue Face Leicester. Blue Face Leicester is super soft, but yeah. And just my mind is getting a little bit twisted because I keep hearing people saying that Blue Face Leicester is rustic. Yeah, this is especially, like, you could mistaken this for merino easily, except it has the very specific matte sheen, which is really odd but really beautiful, of the Blue Face Leicester. It's tightly twisted, it's really nice. This is going to be socks for the spring, a sock design. I already know everything. It's going to be really nice. A sock design, yeah, that's going to have some sort of lace and texture thing. Yeah, so bye night dyes. If you live around Belgium and the Netherlands, she does speak Dutch because she's from Belgium, so she speaks everything. The woman is amazing. She does a lot of markets and like vendor, like creative artisanal markets and things, so you might find her often if you're from that part of Europe. If not, she does have a website, and yeah, I'm happy that I got some of her yarn at last because it is really beautiful. And with that, I think this is all I had to share with you for this week. I'm going to edit the podcast and get more medicine, and hopefully next week I won't have that duck-like voice. And yes, thank you so much for watching. I hope you will have a very lovely week. Yeah, I will come back with more knitting and a very exciting pattern release next time. So yeah, thank you so much and have a great time. Bye!